You know that person who stops mid-sentence when a golden retriever walks by? Completely loses track of what they were saying. Eyes go soft. Voice jumps an octave. Suddenly they're crouched on the pavement, making sounds no adult should make in public. Yeah, that's not random. That's psychology. And here's what nobody tells you about the kind of person who doesn't just pet every golden retriever they see, but actually goes out and gets one. They're not just dog lovers, they're a very specific type of human being, emotionally wired in a particular way, drawn to something they probably can't fully explain. And science has a lot to say about why. Here's the thing about golden retrievers: they're not like other dogs. They were bred in the Scottish Highlands in the 1800s specifically to retrieve shot waterfowl without damaging them. Soft mouth, they call it, genetically engineered for gentleness. And the people who choose them aren't choosing at random. Research in the journal Anthrozoos has consistently shown that dog breed preference correlates strongly with personality traits in the owner. People who choose breeds known for aggression tend to score higher in dominance and sensation seeking. People who choose golden retrievers, they tend to score significantly higher in agreeableness and openness to experience on the big five personality inventory. So, if you've ever met someone who owns a golden and thought, wow, they seem weirdly nice, you weren't wrong, they probably are. Their dog basically outed them. But there's more going on beneath the surface, and people who adopt golden retrievers often share something that isn't immediately obvious. They're emotionally ambitious, not in a career way, in a connection way. They want a relationship with depth, warmth that they can count on. It's something that shows up for them without conditions or complicated fine print. Psychologists describe this as a high affiliation need, a core drive to belong and to bond that sits at the center of how they move through the world. And golden retrievers are basically built to satisfy exactly that. They're one of the only breeds where genetic selection deliberately favored emotional attunement over every other trait. They read your face. They follow your gaze. A 2015 study published in Science found that when dogs and their owners made prolonged eye contact, both experienced a spike in oxytocin, the same neurochemical released between mothers and newborns. Not metaphorically, literally the same biological loop. People who adopt Goldens aren't just getting a pet. They're signing up for a neurochemical relationship. And the people drawn to that tend to be people who find deep connection genuinely nourishing rather than draining, which tells you something real about who they are. This neurochemical synchrony is actually critical to understanding the golden retriever owner's psychology. Unlike casual pet ownership, where the relationship remains somewhat transactional, the oxytocin feedback loop creates an almost addictive cycle of emotional reciprocity. When your golden responds to your presence with genuine enthusiasm, your brain registers it as authentic connection. There's no performance anxiety, no wondering if you're being too much. The dog's response is immediate and consistent. Research from the University of Lincoln suggests that this repeated cycle of positive feedback actually reshapes how people perceive social interactions more broadly. Golden retriever owners who experience this neurochemical bonding often report increased confidence in human relationships as well. They're not just bonding with the dog, they're literally retraining their nervous system to expect positive responses from connection. For people who grew up in chaotic or emotionally unpredictable environments, this can be genuinely therapeutic. The dog becomes a kind of emotional reset button, reminding them what safety actually feels like. Now, here's where it gets interesting and a little uncomfortable. Some people choose golden retrievers not just because they want warmth, but because they're more comfortable giving it than receiving it. Think about the dynamic for a second. A golden retriever needs you. Enthusiastically, relentlessly, without embarrassment. It has zero pride about needing you. And for certain people, that's actually easier to sit with than a human relationship where need goes both directions and gets messy. Psychologist John Bowlby's attachment theory research shows that people with anxious or avoidant attachment styles often struggle to trust human relationships as safe. But animals don't trigger the same threat response. There's no ambiguity, no reading between lines, no wondering if they're actually mad at you. The golden retriever sprinting towards you when you get home isn't performing. It's just honest. And for someone who learned early that human affection comes with conditions, That honesty is genuinely revolutionary. So when you see someone who is, let's say, extremely devoted to their golden in a way that borders on a personality trait, it's worth asking what that dog might be doing that humans in their life haven't quite figured out how to do yet. That's not sad, by the way. That's adaptive. That's a nervous system finding what it needs. Yeah, there's also a specific flavor of optimism that golden retriever people carry around. It's not naive exactly. It's more like a deliberate orientation toward the good stuff. Psychologists call it dispositional positivity, and it's not just a mood, it's a cognitive style. People high in dispositional positivity literally encode positive experiences differently in memory. They hold on to them longer. They use them as reference points when things get hard. And golden retrievers objectively are a daily injection of that. Your dog is excited that you woke up. It's the greatest moment of its entire day. You made coffee. Incredible. You put on shoes. Historic achievement. There's actual research showing that golden retriever owners report lower cortisol levels on average than non-dog owners. But specifically that the effect is stronger in owners of highly social breeds. Because it's not just companionship doing the work, it's the specific emotional tone the animal brings into the room. I think golden retriever people tend to be people who want that tone, who are on some level trying to protect a certain quality of life, trying to keep something gentle in their day, even when the rest of it isn't. This protective instinct is worth examining more closely. Golden retriever owners often describe their relationship with their dog as sacred in some way. Not religious necessarily, but sacred in the sense that it's one domain of their life they refuse to compromise. They're not just maintaining the dog, they're maintaining a particular version of themselves through the dog, a version that gets to be soft, that doesn't have to defend its emotional expressions, that can be completely unself-conscious about tenderness. Psychologist Barbara Fredrickson's research on positivity ratios suggests that people with golden retrievers actually maintain higher baseline positivity because the dog removes the social monitoring that usually constrains emotional expression. In regular human interactions, people often self-censor warmth because they're worried about seeming weak or overly available. With the dog, that filter comes off, and golden retriever owners experience genuine liberation in that unfiltering. And let's be honest about something. Golden retriever people are also just a little bit dramatic about their dogs, not in an annoying way, mostly, in a way that reveals something. They baby talk with zero self-consciousness. They rearrange their entire schedule around the dog's emotional state. They have statistically more photos of their golden on their phone than of any human being they've ever met. A study out of the University of California found that dog owners who scored high on empathy were significantly more likely to describe their pet using language typically reserved for close human relationships. Best friend, family member, the one who gets me. For golden retriever owners specifically, this language spikes because these dogs invite that kind of projection. They're emotionally available in a way that feels almost unfair. And the people who fall for it hardest are the ones who are already wired to take emotional availability seriously, who notice it, who value it, who maybe haven't always found it in the places they were looking. Here's what nobody talks about, though. Adopting a golden retriever is also quietly an act of hope. These are not low-maintenance animals. They shed approximately one full additional dog per week. They eat things that have no business being eaten. They will, at some point, destroy something you care about while making direct eye contact and wagging their tail, which honestly takes a certain audacity you have to respect. And yet people adopt them anyway, knowing all of this because somewhere in them they believe the joy is worth the chaos, that the connection is worth the cost. Psychologist Charles Carver's research on dispositional optimism found that optimists don't just feel better. They're more persistent, more resilient, and more likely to invest in long-term relationships even when the short-term picture is complicated. Golden retriever owners are, in a very real sense, betting on the long game. They're saying, yes, there will be muddy paws on the couch. Yes, there will be vet bills and early mornings and the particular heartbreak that comes from loving something with a lifespan much shorter than yours. And they're saying it's worth it anyway. That's not just a personality trait, that's a philosophical position. And it tells you almost everything you need to know about the person holding the leash. So the next time you see someone absolutely losing it over their golden retriever, remember you're not watching someone be a little too much. You're watching someone with a high affiliation need, a securely attached nervous system, and a genuine belief that warmth is worth protecting. You're watching a person who chose deliberately to bring the most emotionally available animal on the planet into their daily life because that's the kind of energy they want to live inside of. And honestly, that's kind of beautiful. Does this hit close to home for you? Tell me in the comments. And if you want more psychology that actually explains why you are the way you are, subscribe. The next video is already waiting for you.